Hello. Hello. What is up? How's it going?
Good.
¿Qué pasó?
Were you asking me or them? Kind of them, huh?
Rhetorical.
Yeah.
Hello. Howdy.
Welcome.
Welcome. Welcome to the Dating and Marriage Podcast. I'm Aaron.
I'm
This
Laura.
is my wife, Laura.
Thanks.
We do a podcast that is all things dating and marriage from a biblical perspective, the God way, the Jesus way, and yeah, all that good stuff. So if you're watching on YouTube, welcome. If you're listening/watching on Spotify and or any other podcast streaming device
Platforms.
thank you. Welcome as well. Thanks for joining us today. Updates. What did we get? What did we got going on last week or 2 weeks ago? I don't even know what we've been doing. I changed the oil in the car today. That's about it.
We're going to the river tomorrow.
We are going to
That's
the
the
river tomorrow.
exciting news. We're actually recording this a couple days ahead of time.
Yeah.
Setting ourselves up for success.
Yes, we are pre-recording for Sunday.
Yeah.
This is Friday. We made it through the week.
Yeah, we did.
Dude.
It's been a week.
You know those memes? The
sailor one?
The sailor one? The Ahoy sailor, you made it to Friday?
To Friday.
And it's
Mr.
Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
That's how I feel right now.
Yeah, we did good. It's been definitely a challenging week, but we're doing it. We are doing it.
We're thriving, bro.
Yeah, we're not just surviving.
That was my camp motto when back in my football days during summer camp, like in August, like before season started, and you're practicing like every day and it's hot.
And you're like
and it's,
low key death.
like kind of the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
That was the motto for like 2 years in a row when I was young. It was don't just survive, thrive.
Well, that's cute.
Yeah.
But the
Kinda helped
boys
me.
liked that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you become a senior and you're just like, okay, this is actually fun now, and I don't care about anything that sucks.
Yeah, because you're tossing them fools
Just
around.
toss them around, yeah.
I like it.
Anywho, what are we talking about today?
We're going into part
I know.
2 of our financial series. So this is the second half where we're going to transition into what to do when you get married. We can even talk about what are the like premarital conversations that we had with our premarital mentors.
Yeah, let's start there. So what were the conversations that we had
Well,
premaritally?
Aaron and I, we took like a test to kind of that was part of like our premarital
test.
was we jeez. We took a
I'll edit that
test and it helped us to figure out like how aligned we are on certain things. And there was a financial portion of it, like what do you do with your finances? Like, did your parents have separate bank accounts or the same bank accounts? Like, just questions like that. And then we came together in premarital. And then if you have a really good premarital counselor, they'll start to look at things that you have differences on and dive in and talk about, like, okay, do we need some work in this area? The main question was, like, are you guys going to combine your finances? That was number one.
Which it should be, yes.
Yeah.
But I got something real quick. I think the cool thing about the premarital part of it is you, like Laura was saying, that you have to talk about things that you normally wouldn't even think to talk about. Like, normally when you're about to get married, you're like, oh yeah, we talk about all the hard conversations, all that stuff. But like some of the things you like don't really think to talk about.
Like the details.
The details, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, so what was your upbringing around finances? Like, how did your parents handle money? And how were the finances divided in your house growing up? And like, you don't think to kind of really discuss that in detail with the person you're going to get married to, even though you might have very similar upbringings. That doesn't guarantee that the way both of your parents handled finances were identical, which I guarantee you is not the case. So like for me, for my parents, like my mom handled a lot of the finances because she was just really good at that stuff. Like my dad was the breadwinner, but like my mom was the one that like, boom, got everything paid, got everything dialed in, like to the date, to the cent, and all that good stuff.
And they shared a bank account.
And obviously they shared a bank account.
My parents did not share a bank account. They still don't share a bank account.
That's
So
crazy.
for me, sharing a bank account was like I knew that I needed to and I wanted to, but it was kind of weird because
Foreign
I
concept.
was used to my parents like paying each other back for stuff. Or like my mom had certain bills that she covered with her income, and then my dad had certain bills that he covered with his income.
Hmm.
So like they both paid like the same bills that they shared, but like they didn't pay it together. Like one was responsible for the electric bill and the other was responsible for the water bill.
So it was like kind of like um roommates
Kind of like a roommate.
to
Yeah,
an
in a
extent.
way, but like
Interesting.
it was just the way they did it and it my parents didn't grow up like Christian
Hmm.
or with God, so there wasn't a lot of unity in regards to finances.
Interesting.
And my dad owned his own business and things like that, so it was hard to like combine finances at that point because there was just a lot going on business wise.
Do you think, not to like totally get into it, but do you think there was like a that affected them, like having separate finances?
Oh, I think so for sure. And I'll share this with you guys now. I'm we're actually starting to see that kind of not fall apart,
Play out.
but play out. Yeah, because they have a great marriage, but my mom is retiring. So most of her high income is actually going away.
Hmm.
So there's been a lot of conversations that her and I have had to have. And, you know, these this is a couple that's been married almost 30 years and now they're having to figure out holy crap, we don't
Did,
know who's spending what,
yeah.
and it's really scary. And it's actually caused my mom quite a bit of stress because she doesn't know how much my dad spends every month on his stuff, nor does my dad know what she's spending and buying. So it's kind of like
It's hard for them to budget.
yeah, it's kind of a mess because there is no budgeting,
Mm-hmm.
and nobody
I see.
knows. My mom's really good with budgeting, but she could only budget herself because
Mm-hmm.
she never knew what was coming in for my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because they have the same like bank, but like they pay different bills.
Hmm.
So it's hard to see what's coming in and what's going out.
Well, there you go. Eliminate the headache and just get one,
Yeah.
and all your problems will magically disappear.
Because you don't want to be like 60
Nope.
years old and like running into a major financial struggle like with your spouse and being like, holy crap, we should have done it X, Y, and Z all these years and saved ourselves all this like trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It's not to say that they can't do it and make it happen, but still, it's like, why even? It was so easy to combine finances.
Yeah. I think there's like the barrier to entry. Um, it's like the thought of it is daunting a little bit. It's kind of like, um, I don't want to say like there's an uneasiness to it, but it's just like, well, okay, well, someone's got to cancel their account, and then you got to move it, and then like, you get that like weird feeling. It's like the procrastination bug starts to creep in, and you're like, "Ooh, I don't want to do that right now."
Yeah. And I think like not only the procrastination bug, but like it's finances can be very intimate person to person.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Oh yeah.
now you're like showing somebody else what you're spending money on. Like maybe you're a shopaholic and you like to buy certain things
Fishing tackle.
all the time or whatever. Maybe you're a girl who really likes her shoes. And now you're inviting somebody else in to see how much you spend on shoes every month.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, it like opens up this new realm of your partner seeing you like in a totally different light.
True. It's true, but it's so. I mean, all that scary stuff. Why is it good?
Well, because if you're not on the same page financially, you're not on the same page. So it's kind of like where the Lord talks about in the Bible like several times. You're either all toes in or you're all toes out. You can't just be like nine toes in. He'd rather you be one extreme or the other. So I think it's the same way, like the way we follow him, like we need to be 100% in, but even in our marriage, like we need to be 100% in.
Ooh,
We can't just have like finances, we're doing one way and then everything else we're doing another way. It's like, no,
that's good.
let's be 100% unified on everything that we do. Um, and make sure that like everybody's on the same page about everything.
Mhm.
It's just that's where the blessing comes in, is the unity.
Totally. And once you do that, like kind of what we did, it's like, and now it's like, okay, step one, you get your, you know, have everything as one, which took actually longer than we thought it would.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Um, and then the next thing is the stewardship aspect of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because now you're looking at credit card bills and all these different things that you're buying in a month. It's like, okay, how are we gonna budget this properly? You do a really good job of budgeting, by the way.
Thanks, buddy. She learned it from my mom. But I think like you're totally right. Because you're gonna now see your spouse's, like you're gonna see what they're buying. And that can be, if you're trying to steward money well, and one spouse is, let's say she's buying shoes every month and she's got a closet full of shoes, but you guys are trying to save up for a home,
Mm,
or you're having trouble paying your bills,
mm-hmm.
it's awkward, but it's a conversation that has to be had,
Yeah.
where you really start to sit down and talk. And I think Aaron and I did that really well in the beginning of our marriage, where there were a couple of conversations that had to be had about each other's spending habits, and just saying, it was like, I think it was pretty much like, hey, like we got to look at this and see, is this amount every month benefiting us, or is it taking away from our goals? Is it causing stress?
That's it.
And it wasn't like you need to stop spending so much on blah, blah, blah. It's your fault that we're like financially struggling because of your spending habits. It's like, no, we're spending money. We are spending money on something that doesn't need to be spent money on. Like it's never like, Aaron, you need to stop spending money on X, Y, and Z. Like this is your fault. It was like, we need to stop spending money on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. It made me feel not as guilty.
Even though like I wasn't purchasing that stuff, it was still like a we issue. It was not a he issue.
Yeah.
And I think if you can phrase that to your spouse, like, honey, we, just keep saying we, and it takes the blame off of the other person.
And you kind of touched on it earlier too, and something that we learned earlier this week. It's like the goals thing, and getting having you two on the same goal page, where it's like, hey, is this thing that we're spending money on, or these things that we're spending money on, helping us reach our goals, right? So it's important. Like for us, we have goals. We just haven't written them down. We got to write them down. We have our goals, right? Are the purchases that we make in the month, in a week, whatever, lining up with our goals. And I think that's an easy way to get the other person or both you guys back on the same page. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right. I don't need to buy all this other crap because it's not helping us get to our goals.
Yeah.
Whatever your goals are. I think what helped me is setting like a limit.
We have like a don't ask fund
Yeah.
every month.
Yeah. So it's like, for me, it's like about $50,
Yeah.
give or take.
So
But,
basically that $50 I allot in the budget, and when I see it being spent, I don't ask questions about it. Like,
Yeah.
That's Aaron's money. He can do what he wants with it,
Hooks, weights,
and he can spend what he wants with it.
but yeah, that helps too. So it's like, okay, unless you're completely hamstring, you're like, dude, we got to get out of credit card debt. Then I would say, stop spending money on that type of stuff, dude, because you don't need it.
Yeah.
But for us, like we're trying to get to our long-term goals, short-term goals. So it's more of like let's reel in some of the spending and make sure that the majority of the things that we're spending money on are aligned towards our goals. And then, to be honest, like sometimes like months get out of hand where it's like, okay, yeah. And I'll be the first one to admit too, like, okay, I spent a little bit too much. I could tone it back on some stuff. But I think overall, just if you're spending money towards your goals or lack thereof, then you're in a good spot. So.
Yeah. And I think having like, and this kind of helped Aaron and I, like having one designated person to kind of handle the budget helps. Instead of like both of you trying to like navigate the budget. Sometimes it works that way, but sometimes like it's better just one person is handling the budget, knows what's coming in and what's going out, and then it takes some responsibility off the other person. But that other person, before they're wanting to make big purchases, they do need to ask the
Yes.
budgeter, hey,
Can I?
I would like to do X, Y, and Z. Can I?
Yeah.
And then you, as the budgeter, have full room to say, hey, it's just not in the budget this month, but let's talk about how we can make that happen for next month.
Mm-hmm.
How much money do we need to put aside?
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, when you tell them that, next month they're not going to want the item.
It's
Like
true.
9 times out of 10, you can move.
It's not
you can
that.
move on.
Yeah, it's not that important.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
So, and if it's a big purchase and it's necessary for the home, like we need a new microwave or something because ours is broken. We use the microwave every day. Like, okay, yeah, that's a purchase that we need to make. And we need to make room for the budget in it. So that might mean like our free spending money that month gets cut back a little bit, just depending on how tight we are that month.
Yeah. And I would say delegating the responsibilities, kind of like how we were saying, like delegating the budgeter. I would say give it to someone who's, one, good with that stuff and enjoys it. I mean, I guess you don't have to enjoy it, but just is really good with numbers, good at crunching stuff, really good at seeing things in
Organized.
that light, is very organized, and isn't easily stressed.
Yeah.
I think that's a big key. I think we both have like ups and downs with that second one. But honestly, I would even say that's more important than the first one.
Yeah.
Because so like for my experience, like my parents, so my mom is like, dude, she's like rock solid. She you can very rarely see when my mom's stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
Dad, on the other hand, like
he wears his stress like a sweater
every other 20 minutes
Yeah.
in the day. Love him. Every other 20 minutes, he's
Yeah.
stressed about something or something's exploding in his mind. That being said, he's not the perfect person to handle finances. So it's more of like the monthly type of stuff. Obviously, they're both communicating and they know what's going on. But my mom is the one that's handling all the details.
Yeah.
Like the billing, all the the small stuff that one can easily get stressed out about.
And you figure it out throughout marriage. Like we started out with me handling the money. And then I had a moment where I was like in panic mode and didn't want to do it anymore. So Aaron took it on.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is freaking like too much. So I took it back. But taking it back, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to take on this responsibility, I need to freaking be ready for it. Like, I need to be in the word. I need to be understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be praying. And I need to be communicating with Aaron when I do feel stressed or when something's bothering me or I have worries.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, going to the Lord. And that was something that I've really had to work through the last year is I'll have moments where, because I'm human, where the fears come in and I look at our bank account and I'm like, oh crap, like how is X, Y, and Z going to happen this month?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a matter of, instead of running to Aaron and being like, I'm stressed out, I don't want to do this. It's okay. I'm going to go to God and be like, hey man, this is what things look like. I just need you to give me some reassurance that this is not what it's going to look like at the end of the month. Mm-hmm. And he always comes through.
Yep.
I would say like 9 times out of 10, I can just go to the Lord and he brings me back to normal. Mm-hmm. And there is occasions where I'll share with Aaron, like, hey, I'm a little bit stressed about this area, or I had some stress this morning when I woke up about this financially, but I worked through it with the Lord. This is what he told me. And most of the time, it's a word for Aaron as well. And it's something that he needed, that he was stressed out about too.
Yeah. Yeah. Ditto.
So I would say, like, when you get married, those are key transitions to start making. And then just having grace with each other. Like it's new for the both.
You guys aren't going to be perfect. Like,
no. Somebody's going to have debt. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to make the wrong purchase, but as long as you're being truthful and you're being honest, that's the most important part.
Someone's going to sign up for a vacation condo and get into a pyramid scheme.
No.
Not really.
But seriously, you be honest. Don't be afraid to let your spouse know, like, hey, I have some credit card debt, or I'm using this money from here to pay off this. Like,
Right.
anytime we're doing something like that, I'm always quick to communicate with Aaron and just let him know, like, this is my next move here. This is what I'm doing. Like, so he doesn't think that money's being thrown around or cash is
Yeah.
being put here and
And
he doesn't know what's happening. It's just always clear communication. So at least he's just kept in the loop of what's going on. Super important. Yeah. So
I ain't got
that's
nothing else.
that's our main advice for you guys,
Yeah.
especially starting out. If you can roll that
Yeah,
way,
woods.
everything else will come the way it needs to.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Give us a like, give us a share if you enjoyed it. Share with a friend who's dating, married, or single. All the above. That's it.
Bye, guys.
Later.